I'm Robin Neill, Salem, New Hampshire. Forever. But I've always built stuff. But I had a stroke 20 years ago. I had to retire early, and my hands wouldn't work properly. And I got back into finishing a model. It was half done, and that was great therapy. And my hands came back, and from then on, I've probably built 20, 25 ships. So it's been very rewarding, good therapy, you know. Well, first of all, if you're building from a kit, you pick a ship that you think is within your ability and an interesting subject. But other than that, there are certain ships that caught my eye over the years, like Liberty ship program or Civil War ships. And if a ship has a really interesting history, or the program itself is interesting, I like to tackle it, something that's unusual. And I do kit and scratch build. Scratch build is when you provide everything yourself. And they're probably the most challenging projects now are ones where you have no plans. Certain boats are no plans available, but the ships there to take pictures of. And that Bertram is a case in point where I had to work just from photographs and with a tape measure. And it's been a project that was a lot of fun, even so. World War II program that really intrigues me is the program to build the Liberty ships, a mass-produced cargo ship. They built 2,700 of them, million people. Average time is 45 days to build a pretty good-sized ship. And there's just one surviving ship in San Francisco, the Jeremiah O'Brien, which my model is named in honor of. And that's just a fascinating time. Is incredible what America accomplished, but the feature of that program is interesting. It's a British design, and the British factories, shipyards were all tied up building warships, so it was built in America before America was in the war, and everybody thought England was beaten and the British pound sterling would be worthless. So the only yard would take it on was Kaiser. They never built ships before, they took it on. And they wanted to be paid for the first 60 ships, including the boat yards that the British were paying for, all had to be paid for in gold bullion. And it was several hundred tons of gold had to be brought by warship from the Bank of England and some from Canada. And so people don't realize that this was before Lend-Lease even. And so the first 60 ships were built just like that. And then when, after Pearl Harbor, Roosevelt realized that America would need a lot of cargo ships. They had a program of the First World War in America, and the first cargo ship off the ways was delivered 5 days after the war ended. So they didn't want to make that mistake again. So they decided to take the British design and just duplicate it all over the country, and that's what they did. So it's an interesting program. And that's a case of a model where the real ship was almost more interesting than building the model. But that's, I think, the thing that interests me the most. Well, building scratch built, that's fun as it kind of unfolds, and you don't have to rely on instructions of how to do things, but you have to figure it out yourself. But to me, the ultimate kick is when it's finally all finished. You can step back and say, that's it. And what are we going to do next? And so that's pretty enjoyable. And I like when people are interested in it. Many people aren't interested in ship models these days, but it's nice when they are. So that's what drives me, I guess. It's silly, isn't it? HMS Warrior. And the Warrior is docked next to in Portsmouth Naval Shipyard in England. It's docked next to the Victory, HMS Victory, and the Warrior was a beautiful steam clipper ship, the first major steam-powered warship, and it has breech-loading rifle guns. It's pretty advanced, built in 1858 with intentions of beating the French. And then the British it had a central fortress where so the crew could be protected, 3 foot thick walls and all that. And every 6 months, the Royal Navy takes sections of their warships to sea in a barge, and they fire guns at them. And they took a section of that ship to sea a year after it was launched, and the new shells went right through the skin. So from then on, the ship was retired, brand new, never went to sea again, and it's still there. And the engine is huge. It's been restored, so it runs on compressed air. You can see it, and that's an interesting ship I like to build in large scale. And someday, if I could get as skilled as Alex, I'd like to build ships in bottles. But because the big problem with building some of these full-size ships, you don't have room for them in the house anymore. And it looks as though the Jeremiah O'Brien Liberty ship is heading to San Francisco. They want to acquire it. So we just heard last week. So that would make me feel good if it ended up there.